It is like a man on his way abroad who summoned his servants and entrusted his property to them. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to a third 1, each in proportion to his ability. Then he set out. The man who had received the 5 talents promptly went and traded with them and made 5 more. The man who had received 2 made 2 more in the same way. But the man who had received 1 went off and dug a hole in the ground and hid his master's money. Now a long time after, the master of those servants came back and went through his accounts with them. The man who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 more. "Sir," he said, "you entrusted me with 5 talents. Here are 5 more that I have made." His master said to him, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have shown you can be faithful in small things. I will trust you with greater. Come and join in your master's happiness." Next, the man with 2 talents came forward. "Sir," he said, "you entrusted me with 2 talents. Here are 2 more that I have made." His master said to him, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have shown you can be faithful in small things. I will trust you with greater. Come and join in your master's happiness." Last came forward the man who had been given 1 talent. "Sir," he said, "I had heard you were a hard man, reaping where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not scattered. So I was afraid, and I went off and hid your talent in the ground. Here it is. It was yours. You have it back." But his master answered him, "You wicked and lazy servant. So you knew that I reap where I have not sown, and gather where I have not scattered? Well then, you should have deposited my money with the bankers, and on my return I would have recovered my capital with interest. So now, take the talent from him and give it to the man who has 5 talents. For to everyone who has will be given more, and he will have more than enough. But from the man who has not, even what he has will be taken away. As for this good-for-nothing servant, throw him out into the dark, where there will be weeping and grinding of teeth." Oh my goodness. So what do I do with my talents? I feel a bit sorry for the poor fellow who put the money in the ground because he was a bit afraid of his master. I think sometimes we all do that at times. We kind of cringe and hide away a bit. But really, we are being invited here to experience the lavishness of God and to be lavish in return. God gives us all everything we have in ourselves. He gives us the capacity to be the people we are. And we can choose to grasp that capacity and to use it to its fullest. Or we can choose to say, "Ah, not me. I'm not really like that. I can't do that. I've got to be humble and keep myself quiet and lowly." For me, that's a false reading of being humble. Being humble is acknowledging the gifts and talents I have and using them for the good of others, not just for myself. The man with the 5 talents used his talents for the good of his master. I have to use my talents for the good of God, to build God's kingdom here. If I don't, if I think I have to be humble and just sit on those talents and hide my light under a bushel, I'm not being the person God's calling me to be. So I guess one thing I get out of reading this is that I am going to be accountable when the time comes, and I don't know when and how, and it may even be to some extent here while I'm living this life. When the time comes and I'm going to be measured, am I going to measure up? Or am I going to be one of those people who's cringed and hidden away and not put myself out there to spread the reign of God? Something for me to think about, and I hope you too. May your week go well.